Greetings, urban farmers, gardeners, and healthy food visionaries. Farmer Greg here, and welcome to the 366th episode of the Urban Farm Podcast, where every day we work together to educate and inspire you to become part of your food revolution. Hey, Urban Farm Podcast listeners, we want to know what you think about our podcast. You've been listening to me for almost 3 years now, and I want to hear from you. I have some very specific questions, including what you like about our podcast and where we should be going next. The important part is, I really want your opinion. I'm looking to connect with 50 listeners from no more than 10 minutes who are willing to share your thoughts. It's simple to sign up. Go to urbanfarm.org and look at the top menu. Sign up there. I look forward to chatting. I have said it many times, I am a lifelong learner, and I'm excited to let you know about a unique global online event made just for those of us who want to grow our own food. In this 4-day online learning opportunity, a collection of visionary growers, gardeners, permaculturists, and homesteaders share garden hacks, slow tools, gadgets, and gardening technologies. Join tens of thousands of budding growers and learn how to save time, energy, and money while doing what you love most, growing your own food and medicine. Visit urbanfarm.org/garden hacked to register for this free online summit. Today on our podcast, we have someone who is bringing gardening experts together in one event. We're talking with returning guest Stacey Murphy about her Garden Hack Summit. Stacey has helped thousands of new gardeners from 6 continents grow vegetables and herbs in small spaces so they can enjoy fresh, affordable vegetables and live a healthy, happy life. She walks eager growers through her holistic garden system, showing what to grow, when, and where. Stacey is a garden geek, growing food since 1979, and her superpower is packing literally tons of food into tight spaces. Many of her students who trained at her backyard urban farm in Brooklyn have gone on to start their own homesteads, gardens, and farms. Featured on Martha Stewart Radio and PBS's Growing a Greener World, Stacey believes growing food organically is the best health plan for people, communities, and the earth. You can find her at growyourownvegetables.com, and don't forget to sign up to receive her best gardening tips and strategies. We got to meet Stacey in podcast episode 105 back in July of 2016 and talked about farming in Brooklyn. Today, we're talking about her Garden Hack Summit. Welcome back to the show today, Stacey. Are you ready to rock the summit?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Can you bring us up to speed on what's been happening in the 2 years since we chatted?
Oh my goodness, I can't believe it's been 2 years.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's been an incredible journey. So there have been so many more people joining the homegrown revolution, and everybody wants to grow food. So in the last couple of years, we've added a couple new classes, and we've had students from all around the world. So we've had students from Pakistan and Finland and Canada and Mexico and just everywhere. It's been incredible. So since I last talked to you, we started a class called How to Grow $400 in 40 Days.
Ooh.
And it's all about just jump-starting people. Like, what can you do pretty quickly if you've never planted a seed? Let's just get you growing. And it shows you everything what to do from start to finish. And so people have been taking the challenge, and they've been showing off how much produce they can grow in 40 days. So it's been really exciting the last couple of years. And we just want to keep growing this movement like you do, keep getting people growing food.
Well, that's one of the things I love about you and what you're up to is that sparkle, the magic, the push, let's just show everybody how easy it is. So yay on you.
Thanks. It's so much fun.
You know, it really is. So Garden Hack Summit, I was actually involved with it last year, and you're doing it again this summer. What the heck is a hack?
Right? So a hack, for people who are unfamiliar with this word, a hack is essentially an idea or a gadget that makes your life simpler. And the perfect example of a hack is Post-it notes. There used to be life without Post-it notes, and we used to remember to do things.
Yep.
And nowadays, to remember to do something, you have to put a Post-it note somewhere. And so a Post-it note is a perfect kind of hack. It just reminds you of something to do. It makes your life simpler so that you don't have to remember something. The same thing is true in our gardens. And there are all kinds of things that make gardening simpler and make it fit into our busy schedule. And so the idea behind the Garden Hack Summit is to really take the experience of gardening and make it so that anybody can participate, make it easy, simple, and fit into people's busy schedules. individuals.
Cool. So how did you come up with this idea of doing a summit about garden hacks?
You asked me this too, and I missed this part, but why an online summit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's really important to understand that worldwide, there is such diverse range of growing techniques. And there are people, like I mentioned, I have students in Finland and Pakistan and India and South Africa, and there are techniques that work for many people. And there are also very specific techniques that work in very specific growing regions. And so I think it's important to bring everybody together and to understand all of those different techniques and what's going to actually work for where you are. And what's surprising and shocking is sometimes you find that somebody that lives all the way across the world has the exact same garden challenge that you have, and they potentially have the exact garden solution that you need to make your garden work. So I love bringing together everybody online and sharing the best techniques around the globe so that people can have more success, they can grow more food, and really that equates to better health in the long run. And also, it equates to us taking care of the planet. We're growing food, and so we're replenishing topsoil and all of the bigger benefits that happen when we are gardening. So going online is like creating a global garden community, and it really solidifies this homegrown revolution that is happening everywhere.
Yeah, it is really cool. We do online courses as well, and we have gotten people from all over the world jumping in and learning. And I've noticed, especially in the past couple of years, the magnitude of the noise to grow your own food is growing exponentially.
Yes, exactly. And what's so interesting is that what seems like a lot of conflicting information on the internet about how to grow food, what happens is we just need a map to understand why somebody is saying that something is going to work. And so what happens when you bring everybody together versus just saying, hey, you just need to go outside and throw some Epsom salts on that.
Oh, right.
That's not going to work for everybody.
Right.
So when you bring everybody together, you can cut through all the noise and you can say, okay, these are the things that work for these particular scenarios. And it's so amazing because the good news is you might know these numbers as well as I do. Last year, 7 million new people started gardening in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And 6 million of them are millennials, young people, 18 to 30.
Isn't that amazing?
Like they grew up in a world of computers and TV screens, and now they're getting outside and they're playing in the dirt and they want to know how to do all this stuff. So it's super cool. And to have all of us in one place where we can talk about what the best techniques are for different areas just makes it so much simpler.
When there is conflicting information out there, you kind of have to decipher whether it's conflicting information that positively impacts or negatively impacts you where you're at.
Right.
And that goes to what I tell people all the time in my classes is that growing food is one great big grand experiment. You have to jump in and figure out how to do it that works for you in your area.
Yeah, totally. And what's cool is that the people who are considered crazy, let's say, who try crazy things.
By the way, that was you and me 10 years ago.
Exactly. The people who are trying crazy things, they're getting good results. And it's those people, those visionaries that I like to feature on these summits because they're out there, they're pioneering, they're trying different techniques, and they're showing what works and what doesn't. So, nowadays it's so interesting to me. You can walk into Home Depot and you can get organic seedlings. And 10 years ago, you could not find an organic plant in Home Depot at all.
Right.
So things are changing. And the people who are trying interesting experiments, we want to encourage that. We want more crazy people out there gardening and trying different things and seeing what works and what doesn't for where they are.
Yay to that. So when is the summit?
A little bit about the summit. So I know that it is, for some people, the middle of the growing season. So the Garden Hack Summit airs July 25th through July 28th. Mm-hmm. And we specifically host it during the middle of the summer because what we find is that a lot of the new people who get involved in gardening, they want help right away. They're like in the middle of their first growing season and they're like, please come in and, share with me some new tips. So we host it right in the middle of the season. And what's cool is that it doesn't matter what time of year it is. You're going to get something that works for you regardless of whether it's the middle of your growing season or whether you're planning for next year. So the summit this year, it airs July 25th through 28th. And we've got so many amazing presentations. I'm so excited. I'm very inspired by all the people.
So, well, like, who do you have? Hint, hint on the summit.
Yeah. So I'll give you a couple of exciting hints about what's to come. And you can check out the website, of course. And so I'll invite everybody to join. And I believe they can go find it at urbanfarm.org/gardenhacked. That's where they can check out the lineup of speakers. And some of the exciting people that we have on board, Marjorie Wildcraft will be on board, and she'll be talking about everything you need to know to raise rabbits.
Oh, nice.
Yes. And we've got people like Michael Kilpatrick, who actually is a farmer, but he helps gardeners create perfect seedlings every time. So he's doing a seed starting that's going to ensure that you get perfect seedlings every time. And then really cool, one of my past students has become an incredible grower, and she actually feeds her community. She's selling organic produce to restaurants, and she's doing a presentation on growing continuous supply of microgreens so that you can produce 8 servings of nutrient-rich greens in just minutes each week. So these are some of the examples.
Wow.
The list goes on, and there's people talking about herbs and including them in your health and well-being. And one of my favorite names of the presentations is Amy Landers is going to do a presentation on kids in the gardening without crushing plants, complaining, or chaos.
Wow.
So there's really a wide range of topics for people who are just getting started, all the way to people who have more experience. And of course, you're going to be there.
I was going to say, it took you long enough. That was my first hint. It was like, hint, hint, who's going to be in the summit?
I saved you for last because actually one of my favorite parts about this summit is that we don't just have a bunch of recordings that you go and listen to. It's actually live broadcast. And so basically, we're going to be there live, answering people's questions, sharing people's biggest takeaways. And for people like you who love live, and I'm so excited to play with you, you're going to come on live and share your presentation and about a system that basically creates compost by itself. Yeah, it's going to be incredible. And you're going to be there with live Q&A. So people, you got to show up because we're going to have Greg on the line and he's just going to be answering all your questions. So that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy doing these summits, because this is an opportunity for all of us to get on the phone together and start asking those tough questions. So you guys got to come and join in the party. Greg's going to be there answering your questions. So the link I invite you to go check it out, is urbanfarm.org/gardenhacked.
Perfect. Well, and I love your level of enthusiasm and excitement behind getting this done. What kind of drove you to do a summit?
Sometimes I don't like to talk about the negative stuff in life. You know, I'm one of those people who is pretty cheery a lot of the time.
Yep.
And here's the deal, I remember what it was like to feel kind of bummed out about my food and that it didn't feel fresh, didn't have vitality. And that's how I got into gardening, and that's how I got into farming. And I remember what it also felt like to feel kind of bummed about, like, hey, what's for dinner kind of thing. Like, just everything just felt like drudgery, oh my God, I got to eat 3 times a day and I got to figure out what to eat. And so one of the things that I've noticed is that's a pretty common thing that happens to people. I mean,
me last night. Yes.
Right?
I've been dealing with that the past couple of days. I want fresh. For those of you that don't really know, we're in the middle of Phoenix. It's 110 degrees outside today. Not much grows. So
oh, goodness.
There's not much fresh coming out of my garden right now.
I just know that this is something that happens to a lot of people. We eat 3 times a day and we want to feel great about that food. And we know that it can help us avoid chronic diseases that America is facing and around the world now, these diseases that people are facing. And we also want to make a world a better place and connect with our neighbors, right? So what I noticed is that even people who are gardening already still sometimes can feel a little like bummed out, like, oh, I'm doing the same old thing and like, oh, I've done this before and there's nothing new and exciting in this. And it becomes kind of a chore or like something that's boring almost sometimes, or like, oh God, I got to go do that again. So what's cool about a summit is that it breathes new life into that whole process. So if you're just getting started, you get excited about a new technique to try. If you're somebody who's already growing food, like we're going to have Cami is going to share a recipe. It's kind of like a creative fill in the blank kind of recipe that makes your garden taste fabulous.
Ooh.
Yeah. So you basically get these new tricks and these new tips that breathe new life into your world. And I just want everybody to feel that nourished and that taken care of. And that's really, to me, what hosting the summit is all about.
Mm-hmm.
At the core, it's about nourishment.
Nice. In more ways than one.
Yeah. And the cool thing that I've noticed about people who come to the summit is that they meet people from around the world, they share experiences. And sometimes this happened to me the other day in one of my classes. Maybe this has happened to you in one of your classes, where somebody who was in my class discovered that somebody else in the class was her neighbor, and they started sharing garden produce the next week. So these are two people who met online, and all of a sudden now they're garden buddies in person. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. There's a permaculture design course. This is a little sideways on the topic, but in a permaculture design course, it's a 72-hour deep dive into what permaculture is. And really one of the big pieces of the permaculture design course is to build out that community.
Yeah.
How do we build out community around great food? Because every time we have a party, where do people end up?
In the kitchen.
In the kitchen, around the food, right?
Our parties tend to center on the garden.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Let's have a garden party. Oh, I guess that's what this is, the Garden Hacked Party.
Yeah, totally. Maybe I'll call it the Garden Party Summit next year.
Yeah, there you go. So do you have one specific guest that you're really excited to have on the summit?
Oh my goodness. And after I talked about how excited I was to have you on the summit,
yeah, I know.
You're going to make me pick somebody else.
And I ask this because, sometimes we get the Joel Salatins of the world to join us. I've had Joel on my podcast, or we get Jason Mraz, the musician. I had him on my podcast a couple of years ago, and they're doing amazing work. For my listeners, sometimes, I feel like I'm their hero. And for me, Jason Mraz and Joel Salatin, and you for that matter, you're all are my heroes. So it's really cool to have you interact with us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's always hard to pick a favorite, man. That's what you're asking me to do here.
No, actually, what I'm asking you to do is there somebody you're particularly excited about having on the...
Yeah. Well, I have to say this. I think one of the people that I'm most excited and oh goodness. Okay. One of the things I'm most excited about is that years ago, I remember meeting Crystal, and Crystal was one of my students, and Crystal was just getting started growing food. She wasn't having any success, and she was kind of bummed out by the whole experience because she really wanted to feel nourished by the experience. And instead she was just overwhelmed and confused. And then she took my class and she's like, I made food. It's magic. It works. I know how to garden now. And she is doing a presentation, and this is now years later that she's doing a presentation on growing an endless supply, a continuous supply of microgreens.
Yeah.
And this is something that can just transform people's lives. It's a small system. It doesn't take up a lot of space. You can do it indoors or outdoors, and it takes just a couple minutes each week. And you could have the most nutrient-dense food on your plate. And the reason why I'm so excited is not just the impact that could have on people's lives, but that here is somebody who just a couple of years ago was totally baffled by gardening and was like, why doesn't this work for me? Everybody else can garden. Why doesn't it seem to work for me? And now she's supplying food to restaurants and all of her neighbors. So that's something that makes me really excited. Yeah. That gives me great hope that people who are tuning in can take that same transformational journey.
And I know the reason that I do the podcast is to share people's stories like that so that our listeners might be inspired and go out and do something.
Yeah. And the cool thing about Crystal is that she's not a Joel Salatin in the world. It's not like people are looking her up or reading her books. People in her community might not even know her name, but they're eating her food. Yeah. How cool is that?
Yeah, no kidding. So one of the things that's exciting for me about her is that she was a student of yours, and she's actually taken what she learned from you and is going out in the world and doing something great with it. And as a teacher, I love when that happens.
Oh, it's the best. And here's the deal for everybody listening. That could be you. You might not have land right now, or you might not think you have time to garden. You feel like you don't have time because you have kids running around, or you don't have the energy when you come home from work. But here's the deal. This is possible when you start small. You get out and you just start growing something and you start experimenting and testing. And that's how the whole journey begins. So I really invite you to join us for the Garden Hack Summit and walk away with just one new idea, one new thing to go out and try to get started so that you can start enjoying homegrown food. And we're going to have so much fun.
Oh, yeah. I remember last year's. It was a blast. The summit is free.
So the Garden Hack Summit, it airs live July 25th through 28th. And we'll be there every night taking questions and sharing your best takeaways. And I haven't shared this anywhere else, but there are going to be some surprises between now and when the summit begins. So you want to sign up early so that you can receive some of those surprise gifts.
Cool. So that during that time period, the summit is free. They can also purchase a package with all of the presentations in it, correct?
Correct. Yeah. One of the things that we know is that everybody's got a busy schedule. That's part of the premise of the Garden Hack Summit. And so we've packaged together all of the presentations as well as all of the presentations from the previous summit and some really cool bonuses as well. So if you have to miss something or you just want to get started watching right away, and one of those incredible bonuses is the Jumpstart Your Urban Farm with Greg. So you're getting this amazing package and it makes so much sense. If you're somebody who wants to get started right away, that's your place to go. You can grab it all in one place.
Nice. To be up front, we do these events, and I've been participating in several of them over the past few years, but we do these events for free so people can jump in. And then when you choose to support the event by purchasing the package, it supports us in doing the work we're doing out in the world so that we can continue to bring you more of that, right?
Yeah, thank you so much for saying that. That's really the intention here is that, we can put on an online summit and we can have tens of thousands of people tune in from all around the world, and we can do that for free. The way that that work gets supported is that some people who find the work very valuable and can really put the work to use when they purchase the toolkit upgrade, they're really supporting everybody being able to watch during the summit.
Yeah, exactly. Because these aren't free to put on by any means.
But they are super fun.
Oh, yes, they are. Yes, they are. Cool. Well, so again, when is the summit?
So the summit airs July 25th through 28th, and we can't wait to see you there.
Perfect. And you sign up by going to urbanfarm.org/garden hacked. What one new piece of advice might you have for our listeners today?
Awesome question. So my one new piece of advice that I've been sharing with people recently is I invite you to shift your mindset just a little bit. And when you think about gardening, if what comes up is that gardening is something that's on your to-do list or it's something that's challenging or overwhelming, I invite you to shift your mindset to just think about playing with nature and to just go outside and take the first step of a game with nature. Plant a seed and see how nature responds, because it's a conversation with nature. And when we make it fun for ourselves and we don't put the pressure on ourselves that everything has to be perfect, but instead think of it like a fun experiment that we're learning and we're engaging with nature, everything becomes much simpler. So that's what I invite everybody to do here.
Nice, nice. I love what you said. Playing a game with nature. I love that. That just made me smile.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show again today, Stacey.
Thank you so much for all of your amazing work. This podcast is an incredible resource for people, and I'm just so honored to be here with you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So to find out more about the summit, you go to
urbanfarm.org/garden hacked.
You can also find show notes from today's podcast at urbanfarm.org/garden hacked. Oh, that was the URL you just gave us. Perfect. We are your urban farming resource. You can find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Also visit urbanfarm.org to find articles, podcasts, webinars, courses, and more. And if you'd like to hear more from Stacey, you can go to our guest index on the podcast, urbanfarm.org/guest index, and type in Stacey. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for joining us on the Urban Farm Podcast. Hey, Urban Farm Podcast listeners. We want to know what you think about our podcast. You've been listening to me for almost 3 years now, and I want to hear from you. I have some very specific questions, including what you like about our podcast and where we should be going next. The important part is, I really want your opinion. I'm looking to connect with 50 listeners from no more than 10 minutes who are willing to share your thoughts. It's simple to sign up. Go to urbanfarm.org and look at the top menu. Sign up there. I look forward to chatting. I have said it many times, I am a lifelong learner, and I'm excited to let you know about a unique global online event made just for those of us who want to grow our own food. In this 4-day online learning opportunity, a collection of visionary growers, gardeners, permaculturists, and homesteaders share garden hacks, slow tools, gadgets, and gardening technologies. Join tens of thousands of budding growers and learn how to save time, energy, and money while doing what you love most, growing your own food and medicine. Visit urbanfarm.org/gardenhacked to register for this free online summit.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Urban Farm Podcast. Remember to listen for tips, advice, and resources to help you on your journey with urban farming. You can find us on the web at urbanfarm.org or send us an email to podcast@urbanfarm.org. In the words of Vincent van Gogh, great things are done by a series of small things brought together. Be encouraged that with each lesson learned and skill developed, you are one step closer in the direction of your dreams.